10A podcast. Make sure y'all like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button. On this latest episode, I bring on my man John Iceman Scully, and he addresses Arthur Beterbiev's challenge, or was it Arthur Beterbiev making a challenge to Jake Paul? We don't know. He addresses that. Also addresses Leonard Ellerby's comments about Iceman Scully and kind of calling him out of touch and whatever back and forth they had on Twitter, and also brings up Floyd, Oscar, Canelo. All of you guys need to take care of your past, your peers of boxing who have nothing today, and you guys can change the world of boxing on this latest episode of 10A Podcast. What's the deal? So here we're back with another episode of the 10A Podcast, and of course I got to bring my favorite individual to interview my man John Iceman Scully. What's good, buddy?
Everything's good. How are you?
I'm all right, man. The boxing world has been actually very, very interesting as of late. I mean, we had the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul event this weekend. For Netflix, streamed over 65 million homes or 75 million homes. Did you happen to actually catch the fights? What'd you think about that event?
I didn't watch the fights. I caught the main event because I wasn't going to watch it. At 7:00 that night, my wife texted me. She said, "Hey, my girlfriend just told me Mike Tyson's fighting tonight. It's on Netflix. It's free." And so she wanted to watch it. She had it on, so we ended up watching. Like I said, I didn't watch the other fights, but I guess I think I would imagine being there live.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of the fight and all that, but I imagine being there live, it must have been a spectacle. It must have been something impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the fight, to be honest with you. I was very skeptical leading towards the fight, especially with Mike's age, being 58 years old. And then, watching him go to the ring. And it was just weird to me, like even from the walkout, the walkout seemed like it was forever. Mike had the knee brace on. He didn't seem to be moving too well. Then the ring was I think it was 20 for the really big ring. And from the outside of the bell, it was just awkward. I don't know what to believe in regards to why was Tyson just too old, or was he allowed to actually attack? I don't know, man. It was just crazy to me. But certain things came out after the fight that really alarmed me, and one of them was Mike Tyson's statement where he said that I think in June or something like that, he ended up having to cancel the original fight because he had to get 8 blood transfusions, which is crazy.
Right.
And then 4 months later, he's in the ring. And I started questioning, how did the Texas Athletic Commission actually allow that fight to go down and actually sanction it? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, especially in hindsight, but just under normal terms, a guy 58 years old who has not fought in, I guess, 18 years, 19, whatever it is, and you're gonna let him fight, and he makes no secret he smokes weed, it's going out of style, 58 years old, you smoking weed, so your lungs are shot. I don't care what anybody says. You're fighting a young, strong guy. There's a lot of things wrong. It wasn't all that long ago that the kid was fighting Fury at I think 185 or something, and now 220 something, but he doesn't have any fat on him. He's perfectly built. I mean, I'll say this: with my limited knowledge, that don't look natural to me. I mean, something's up there. You don't gain that kind of weight and look super strong and just become that big. He gained it. He is similar to Holyfield. Holyfield was a light heavyweight as an adult. Holyfield was 23 when he was in the Olympics. He fought light heavyweight. All of a sudden, 10 years later, he's this massive monster of a man, ripped. From what I know, that's unusual. That's unusual.
So you're saying, without saying, that you believe that he was definitely not tested or on something.
So it gotta be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. I mean, look, like when I was fighting, 160, 168, right?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't just bulk up and become, 210 pounds in 6 months
Mm-hmm.
by lifting weights and, eating protein. It wouldn't happen. And if I did, I'd be fat. I wouldn't look good, trying to gain that weight.
Yeah.
So, obviously something's amiss. I think the sports world in general is flooded with this type of thing. I know for a fact football is. I know for a fact because I spoke to an NFL Super Bowl player who told me everybody in the NFL is on steroids. Everybody. He said your favorite player is on steroids. I hate to tell you, but he's on steroids. He said you can't be in the NFL and not be on steroids. Now, in the last 20 years, how many guys in boxing have popped dirty, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not like they're not the only ones. They're just the ones that got caught. You know what I mean? Of course, the other guys are doing it. I personally know guys in the game who were using. I know for a fact.
Mm.
And it's and I'm not a fan at all. But that's another subject. I don't think he necessarily needed it. Mike, like I say, he's 58, and there's a reason why they showed you the videos, 20-second videos of him hitting the mitts, and everybody's like, "Oh, he looks awesome hitting the mitts." Anybody could look awesome hitting the mitts. I could get a guy who doesn't even box, but I could teach him for 20 minutes and then get him to hit the mitts in really impressive fashion for 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I could show him a couple combinations and he'd look great. You get an athletic guy, get a high school football player. Give me a high school football player, give me 20 minutes, a half an hour with him, and I'll have him looking awesome on the mitts for 20 seconds. So, they exploited him. He allowed himself to be exploited, I guess. But the thing is, ultimately, okay, it's done with. You fought the MMA guys, you fought the wrestler, whoever it was. You fought Mike Tyson. Now it's time to fight real fighters. 8-round fights against good guys who've had amateur fights and they're pros now and they're 14-2 or 12-1 or whatever. And let's really do it, because at this point, if it keeps up, all it is milking the public who likes that type of thing. And I guess on the one hand, if people want to buy it, they'll buy it, right? But for me, the hardcore boxing fan, the hardcore boxing people like myself, I'm not going to his fights. I'm not buying tickets to his fights, and I'm not going to buy a pay-per-view to watch him, until he steps into the ring with legitimate, young guy, real fighter, like have a real professional boxing career. I think he did his thing. He's, and who knows? He might be so rich now, he might not even want to do it anymore. I'm sure he's made close to 100 million, if not more, already. So how much hunger can a guy have? He got in and he could get out untouched, like 100 million richer and untouched, unaffected by boxing.
Well, he is saying that he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez. He came out and said he wants a mega match at 200 pounds at that to fight
Canelo. 4 feet tall. Come on. What is he doing? Well, only fight Deontay Wilder. Come on. What are we doing here? You want to fight? You weigh 220 something pounds. You're ripped, and you just beat Mike Tyson, and you're gonna call out Canelo. Come on. Like for me, like people who don't know better get really excited. Like, oh, it's crazy. He's gonna fight Canelo. This is unbelievable. Yeah. But for me, I'm trying to impress boxing people. I'm trying to impress really knowledgeable boxing fans, and I'm trying to impress my fellow fighters. I don't want my fellow fighters talking about me saying, look at him, he's just grabbing the money, he's using the game, he's not going up the path we had to take. You alienate yourself. It's like a guy who he lives in the hood his whole life, and then he hits the jackpot and he's got 20 million. all of a sudden he doesn't know his friends anymore. You know, he's up there. He's eating caviar, you know, in Beverly Hills, you know. So it's you know, you gotta, if he wants the respect of the fighters, which I guess at this point he probably doesn't. He probably doesn't care, you know, because he's made more in one fight than 100 fighters have made in 100 fights of their own, and they're ranked in the top 10 in the world, and he's made more money than all of them. So, you know, I don't know what his, you know, I don't care what he says on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, but I don't know what his true intentions are. I don't know if he wants to be a real fighter or not. I have no idea if he does.
Well, I know he's pushing the MVP promotions thing. He did do. I mean, he did help the Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano fight happen. They actually ended up getting the biggest payday in women's history for the rematch.
Oh yeah, you can't be mad at any of that. No, I respect that. I mean, he's done tremendous things as far as that goes. Yeah, you can't be mad at that at all.
Yeah, it's tough for me because I like Jake, but I don't believe he really does want to take a real fight. He doesn't want to put himself in danger. I believe that wholeheartedly. I do. Yeah, but I will say this. I got a bone to pick with you, Iceman.
I got you.
You told me that Arthur Beterbiev does not watch boxing like that. He doesn't really watch.
Arthur didn't, that thing on Twitter or whatever, Arthur doesn't talk like that. Believe me. When I forget the last line, like, are we going to do this or what? Arthur doesn't talk like that.
Oh, so who was it? Who made it came from his Instagram page?
He doesn't go on Instagram. Arthur has a guy who runs an Instagram for him, and they put up pictures and stuff. But that's not Arthur at the keyboard. That's not him. Trust me. That's not.
No. Okay.
He doesn't. Like I told you, I've told you before. He doesn't even watch fights. He wouldn't. If Shakur Stevenson walked up to him right now, he wouldn't even know who. I asked Arthur if he knew who Shakur Stevenson was, and he said no. He said he didn't know. He doesn't watch boxing, and he's not being insulting. I don't mean to insult Shakur at all.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, and he doesn't know anybody. He doesn't watch boxing. He doesn't know anybody.
So all right. So he made allegedly. You're saying somebody else runs his page.
Yeah.
Made a post and basically called. So you're telling me Arthur actually did not call out Jake Paul?
I'm telling you, I know he doesn't go on the internet. I know he doesn't go on. That's not him typing. Now, here's the thing. This is the boxing business. Maybe his manager might have said, or promoter, or whoever, somebody might have said to him, hey, have your guy, would you mind if your guy put up a post, you know, calling this guy out? You never know. Maybe it'll turn into something. You know, he might have said, okay, you know, whatever. But I can tell you, it wasn't him sitting at the computer typing it out. I know that much.
Now this is how I interpreted it. And again, something that you said about Arthur to me always stuck out. Yeah. And you said money doesn't motivate Arthur.
Yeah.
And even let's just say Arthur said, hey, you know what? Send out the Instagram tweet. I never took it as clout chasing or going after money. I feel like Arthur respects the game enough. And I feel like a lot of purists like yourself and other people kind of took offense to seeing one of my heroes, Mike Tyson, up there and kind of getting embarrassed in a sense. And I took it like maybe Arthur's like, you know what? You want to fight a real fighter? Let's make this happen. Let's end it quick. That was my way. That's how I took it because I didn't believe that Arthur, like a lot of guys called him out. I think Edgar Berlanga, Gervonta Davis. A lot of people are attracted to fighting this man because of the type of bag that they'll get. But I never took it like that with Arthur. I just believe maybe Arthur is trying to stick up for the sport. Right. If he did make that, would that be more down his lane in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, I could see, like I say, you know, along in that vein of trying to, you know, but like I say, just even reading the type.
Yeah.
I'm saying to myself, Arthur didn't write this. Like, he doesn't talk like this. He doesn't write like this. Like, he wouldn't write that. Yeah.
Now, I did find it very ironic that Jake Paul, who was very out there with his responses,
Right.
He said Gervonta, there's a height limit for him. He said Canelo's scared or whatever it was. He didn't say not one word in regards to Arthur Beterbiev in a negative thing. And I told a lot of my people, I was like, bro, if Arthur is serious about this fight, I think Jake knows he wouldn't survive. Like, it would be bad, like really, really bad if Arthur were to fight him. If in a parallel universe this fight actually happens, what do you think? What do you think would actually transpire? I can't even see.
Hold on. I'm trying to turn the light on in this room so you can see me. Hold on. Give me. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Repeat the question, please.
So I said, Jake Paul responded to a lot of the individuals that responded to him. His response, his response was to Arthur Beterbiev was, "Wow, I must really run boxing when I have the top 5 pound for pound fighter calling me out." Didn't get disrespectful or none of that. And in my head, I was like, bro, you know that you guys are around the same weight, right? I mean, you're heavier than Arthur. But if that fight were to be made, it would be an annihilation.
Yeah. You know, like, you know, he kind of admit. I saw a thing that I think he said it that night or whenever it was. He said, you know, I say things, like he admitted, I say things that I know will kind of make me the bad guy. You know, I have no problem with that. You know, like he basically admitted, I just say things. I just say things to generate interest, and some people hate me, but you know, it's the old thing. You know, whether they hate you or they love you, they still buy the ticket. You know, so he's going to say these things. I mean, I certainly don't think in a million years he believes he could beat Arthur. I don't think, and if he does, I mean, you know, it's just delusion. It's just being completely unrealistic here. You know,
so you don't believe that there will be any type of contact to the camp in order to make this fight happen? You don't believe that Jake would actually reach out to try to make it happen?
I mean, I here's the thing. I can't, you know, because the fact is, and maybe it's changed to a degree, but Arthur is known among boxing people, right?
Yeah.
He's not like you go to your corner store right now and ask the guy working behind the counter if he ever heard of Arthur. He's gonna say no.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, it's true.
Never heard of Arthur in his life. So you know, the money wouldn't be there like obviously Tyson money. You know, he wouldn't be making 40 million. But you know, but I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what his intentions are. If he really wants to be a, you know, legitimate fighter, I don't know. But you know, fight. I think. Did you say? I think somebody said he was talking about fighting Tank.
Yeah, he said it off. I was like, Tank's 135 pounds, and I mean, I think he just said it kind of to troll. I don't believe he would take it, but he did say Tank. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, and like I said, even Canelo. I mean, Canelo next to him. I mean, Canelo. When I always remember when Canelo faced off with Triple G, who's not a big guy. I've met Triple G. He's not a big guy. He faced off with Triple G on the stage at their press conference, and Triple G made Canelo look small. Right? You know, Jake Paul is like King Kong next to Canelo. He's just massive compared to the guy. Arthur is massive next to Canelo. You know, so this kind of stuff. I think some of it might just be, you know, you name drop and you get your name in the mix with these guys. You know, and like sometimes, you know, a younger contender, if he's 20-0 and nobody really knows who he is, but he'll mention, I like to fight Terrence Crawford. Now, nobody in the world ever even thought of you fighting Terrence Crawford until 2 minutes ago when you said it. Now, all of a sudden, somebody's got to repeat it tomorrow, so your name's in the mix with Crawford. So I think maybe it's got something to do along those lines.
So you don't believe that? I mean, again, you don't believe this will actually materialize into anything. You think that it's just gonna go. That's it, out the blue. You don't think there'll be any more responses or anything like in terms of Arthur and Jake Paul?
I mean, I'm only saying that he's not a light heavyweight. You know, he could. I mean, if he wants to get down to 175, but he's not ranked. He's not a heavyweight. He's never fought a light heavyweight. I think even Tommy Fury wasn't even a light heavyweight. I don't think he was like a cruiserweight, 185. So he's never even been a light heavyweight. So I don't know. Like I say, it seems to me at this point, just strictly at this point, it would seem to me that he's just trying to get his name mixed in with that name.
I'll take that as fair. I ain't gonna lie, man. I was very intrigued. Like I like Arthur. The more I watch him, I'm just like, that would be crazy. And a lot of people do want to see Jake fight somebody. And he did say he would get a belt before he retires. I don't know. Yeah. We're gonna see.
Well, listen, if he wants a belt, he's in the right era because there's 6 million of them to choose from. So him getting a belt is not out of the realm of possibility at all. But there's a difference between just having a belt and being legitimate, being real. So that's two different things. There's champions, there's world champions out there who I've never even heard of. I've never seen them fight. I don't know where they came from, but they have a belt.
How does that happen?
It's just so bizarre. It's so bizarre.
How does that actually happen? Like I've seen so many different belts, and I'm like,
there's just you get the regular and the inter whatever it is, the regular, I forget all the names of them, but how crazy it is? I'll tell you what. The other day I saw a thing. We had a discussion on Facebook about the silver title, the silver champion, and it dawned on me. I don't even know. I'm in the boxing game. I don't even know what the silver champion is. I have no idea what that even means. When you win a silver title, I don't know who you are. There's also, I think there's a fight. Who's fighting? Benavidez and
Morrell. Yeah.
I think they're fighting. They're saying that Benavidez is the WBA or Morrell is the WBA light heavyweight champion.
Yeah, he has some belt, and he's the number one.
Arthur's undisputed. We're the undisputed champion. That means you're the WBA champion. So just the fact that this fight is coming up and these guys are fighting for some kind of WBA world title, and nobody says anything about it. We just won the undisputed title like a month ago, and nobody mentions this. That he can't possibly be a WBA light heavyweight champion because Arthur's the WBA light heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there should be only one belt, period. One champion per weight class. I think it is way too many belts. I'm with you. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I know Benavidez, I want to say he's the mandatory as well now, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the mandatories for Beterbiev in that division. Do you see that if he beats Morrell possibly happening?
I would certainly think that's a fight, that's on the table that people in the boxing game would love to see that fight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It would be guaranteed fireworks, 100%. Like, Bivol is a great fight, a high level fight, but, I think you realize now more than ever, like, fireworks are not on the menu. You know what I mean? No. But with Benavidez, obviously it's going to eventually turn into something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Benavidez is very active, throws a lot of punches. There's no real walking back. He's pretty straightforward. He's always usually on the attack, and I think that could be one of the fights of the year. Do you think Arthur is looking forward to? Does he know who Arthur who David Benavidez is?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I know he knows the name.
Mm-hmm.
I know he knows. There's a guy named David Benavidez. If you ask me, did he ever see him fight? Knowing Arthur, I'd probably say he hasn't seen him fight.
I love that fight, but I will say this: the first fight that he did fight at 175 pounds, he didn't look that good. And I think the guy he fought, I want to say Beterbiev.
We stopped him. Oh, 𝐊𝐿𝐼𝐒 was a good fighter back in the day, and Arthur stopped him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he fought him off for like a 3-year layoff, and a lot of people felt like he wasn't that impressive, and it didn't hurt him, and they was calling him a weight bully. How do you feel about people calling him a weight bully at 175 because he wasn't able to stop Gvozdyk?
Right. Well, I mean, like I say, Arthur stopped 𝐊𝐇𝐄𝐒, but 𝐊𝐊𝐇𝐄𝐒's a very good fighter. 𝐊𝐊𝐇𝐄𝐒's the guy who actually ended the career of Adonis Stevenson.
Mm.
He, that was how he got the title. He was a step up. He was a legitimate, opponent, high level fight. It's not necessarily a bad thing that you couldn't stop 𝐊𝐇𝐄𝐒 because
Mm.
Arthur stopped him, but Arthur's special. But at the same time, that's why when you give a guy such a huge reputation for, his nickname is the Monster,
The
you
monster,
know,
yep.
right? So you're expecting him to stop these guys, and when he doesn't, it's like, okay, what's going on here? It's a lot of pressure for him to stop people, especially guys high level, like 𝐊𝐇𝐄𝐒 is and was. I think, like I said, I think Arthur. I think honestly, he would play right into Arthur's hands.
Mm.
Much more like obviously Bivol is a master boxer, and
Yeah,
he wasn't gonna fall into too many traps.
yeah.
I think Benavidez isn't on that level of Bivol as far as boxing mastery.
Hmm.
He's not going to be able to execute like Bivol would. So I think Arthur's obviously eventually going to catch and stop Benavidez.
Do you think that's a fight that Arthur looks forward to simply because it's like bull versus bull?
He would
It's,
like it was like kind of like a Joe Smith fight.
mhm.
He would look forward to, a guy with that mentality, a mentality like he has.
So that's a possibility for 2025, Benavidez. And in your opinion,
Yeah, I
Benavidez.
would I would have to assume so because Arthur's not getting any younger. He's gonna want to fight these guys, as soon as possible. I would assume. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
just trying to put myself in his shoes.
I'm not gonna lie, if that gets announced, oh my god, I don't care where it's at. I want to go. Like
Yeah,
that is a fight. Like listen, just the way Arthur fights, moving straight forward, looking for the smoke. I love it. I love everything about it. Now let's move forward.
yeah.
Recently, me and you had did an interview, okay, and in the interview, um, we brought up. Actually, you brought up, or whatever. We was talking, and you made a statement about Sugar Ray Leonard, and in that statement, you said there's not a lot of Sugar Ray Leonards in boxing, right?
Right.
And I was sleeping. It was about 1 a.m. And all of a sudden, I see a tweet from Leonard Ellerby. Okay, Leonard Ellerby, obviously everybody knows he's behind Mayweather Promotions, and I think behind Gervonta Davis. And he said a bunch of things, but I'm gonna read you one quote that he said, and I had sent it to you. He said, "His opinion, I don't agree. It's okay. In my opinion, he's very envious of successful fighters of the last couple decades. Old school guy who's clueless how these eras are drastically different. He's definitely right about the mentality, but Ray and a couple others are well off, but the others aren't." And he continued with other statements saying how guys weren't that smart back then, and the majority of guys are broke. But he did take multiple shots at you, calling you clueless or whatever.
Listen, Leonard Ellerby and I don't know Leonard Ellerby, but I've dealt with him online before. He is an extremely ignorant man. I can assure you of this. He
Mhm.
is an ignorant man. For some reason, he's got it in his head now that he's this tough guy, and he wants to talk tough about people and insult people on the internet. And he's a personality on the internet. I don't know why he gets aggressive. He did it with me a few months ago. He's ignorant. He's a very stupid person. Let me tell you that he's very stupid.
Mhm.
And I put a thing up a few months back, and I said, "Wow, I'm throwing stuff out there, right? It's what I do,
Yeah,
just
I see it
boxing
all the
talk,
time. Different things, yeah.
And I said, man, imagine if Floyd Mayweather ever made a comeback
Yeah.
and fought Terrence Crawford and beat Terrence Crawford. I go, would that? And I posed the question, would that put him as the greatest fighter of all time? That's all I did. I started the conversation. And this guy jumps in insulting me and calling me names and
Really?
similar to this thing. And I'm saying, what are you talking about? This is the internet. But like I don't like this dude. I don't like the way he talks. And the problem with me is the only interaction I had with this guy in my life about a year ago, I tried to call him or talk to him on the internet. I say, you know, if I could ever send you a poster I have of Floyd Mayweather, if you could have Floyd sign it for me, I could raise money for Wilfred Benitez and Gerald McClellan in a picture clone. I could sell it for hundreds of dollars, and especially if Floyd inscribed it to somebody. And I said, man, we could do that. So he wouldn't respond. And so finally one time I tagged him. I said, hey man, can we do this? And he goes, oh, send me a private message. So I sent him a private message, and he gives me a phone number to call, his number, I guess. And that was it. I called his number like 400 times. He never responded, and I've never talked to him since. And the next time I hear any indication that he even knows who I am is when I said, man, what if Floyd ever beat Crawford? I wasn't being insulting. I mean, it's not insulting. I was throwing a mythical matchup out there. And all of a sudden he comes getting aggressive with me. I mean, I don't know what his game is, he's got a low level mentality, I guess, but he's trying to be insulting. I don't understand his mentality at all. He's an ignorant dude. And I knew, and somebody told me when they saw our interaction when I was trying to help raise money for Gerald and those guys, and they saw, don't even bother with Leonard. He's a fake. Like he's not gonna help you. And I said, no, man, he sent me a message. He told me to call him. And they're like, oh, call him, see what happens. Sure enough, I called the number 47 times, never got through. He never called me back, never answered, nothing. And next time I hear from him, he's trying to insult me about a mythical matchup I put up. So now he wants to come in. I'm talking about Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, at this point, I'm a respectful guy, but I'm losing respect. You're not gonna just insult me and think I'm not gonna go there, with you, because he's an open target for sure.
The odd thing was I didn't tag him in the post.
Right.
That's why I was surprised.
I didn't tag him with my post either. He's just an ignorant dude looking for attention. I think he's got, over the years, his reputation has been as like a soft guy. Because, I saw when he was him and Eddie Hearn, he was trying to challenge Eddie Hearn to a fight.
Really?
I don't remember that. But a year ago, he said him and Eddie Hearn, and Eddie laughed it off. But he was saying him and Eddie Hearn could fight each other. And I'm like, what is this guy? Like, he's like a guy, you see these kids in school, like they get picked on, they get made fun of. So at some point they make it like all of a sudden they're a tough guy. They want to try and change their image, but he is what he is. I mean, he's just that guy, and some guy in the corner that he helped Floyd, and now he's a tough guy. But I wasn't being disrespectful. I was throwing nothing to do with him. I say maybe if Floyd ever came back, mythical matchup. If Floyd ever came back, it's like I say, if Roy Jones retired after the John Ruiz fight, people might say he's the greatest fighter of all time. You cannot deny it. Well, this was a similar vein as that. I said, if Floyd ever came back and beat Crawford, that would be amazing. That was nothing insulting. It was, he was very ignorant, and maybe he's trying to deflect it away from the fact that he wanted to make it like he was willing to help me raise money for those guys. All he had to do was have Floyd sign one thing, and he never responded. He's a fake. So I'm not. I don't even think this dude until you mentioned him.
You guys have never had any interaction outside of that? Because it
I've
doesn't
never met
sound...
the man. I never met the guy in my life.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. I never met the man in my life. Never seen him in person. Never been in the same room with him.
Jeez, I find it weird. Like, and it's funny because another interview that we did was with the Gervonta thing, and I think he's behind Gervonta too. So I don't know if he feels like, maybe is saying stuff. I don't know. I just found it really weird because somebody brought it to my attention.
If he's with Gervonta, I didn't even know that. I had no idea. I don't follow these guys' careers. I don't know. I thought I read a while ago that he was out of boxing. I thought he
stepped down or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he quit being in the boxing business. So I don't know what he's talking about, but like I said, I mean, it's very ignorant. He showed me his mentality a couple times, so I don't think about him at all.
Let's move forward off of that. I just had to address it because it was on the internet. And again, I don't know him. He's actually spoken to me on Twitter. He's been pretty respectful. I don't know nothing in regards to that, but I felt like you should have definitely you guys should definitely have a conversation because I mean I love the ideologies of both of you guys. Well, I think he's been a businessman. He understands he's made a lot of money in boxing, and you're a purist. And I think sometimes
He
those two
at it
things.
from a businessman standpoint.
Yes.
I'm looking at it from the standpoint of Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
care. And people, anybody who knows me knows this. I don't care anything about the money. I don't care who made what, who
Mhm.
made what percentage. I don't care who's richer than the. I don't care anything about that at all. All
Mhm.
I care about is that Sugar Ray Leonard fought Roberto Duran, Wilfred Benitez, and Tommy Hearns in less than 2 years' time. That's what I care about.
Yeah. Well, moving forward, I saw you do a lot of things to raise money for a lot of these ex-box out former great boxers that maybe
Right.
aren't in the best spaces today.
Right.
Why is it so important to you, and what do you got going on? 'Cause I know you're doing a lot of different things.
Right. Well, it could have been me. I could have, because I see I'm with fighters more now than ever because I do a lot of events and I attend a lot of events and I see these guys and I'm seeing them now. We were peers, we were the same age, and now we're all a little bit older, and now I'm seeing where they're headed. And and of course, Gerald McClellan and Wilfred Benitez and Pritchard Colon, their situations. These type of things are happening. When I was a kid, I thought fighters all ended up rich and living in big houses, being very comfortable and never having to work again. And they were in, their mental health was fine.
Mhm.
And I actually just had a friend of mine recently, former world champion, just got admitted to a nursing home. Just couldn't take care of himself anymore. And these guys, their families, like Gerald's sister takes care of him. Pritchard's mother takes care of him. Wilfred's sister takes care of him.
Wow.
They need money. They can't work because they have to be home. They got to be home 24 hours a day. It's like having an infant. They have to take care of them all the
Wow.
time. So they can't work. They can't make money. So they need help. So I try to sell things and raise money to help them.
Now, most people don't know these things. They just know the glory of these guys fighting,
Right, right,
and
right.
it's a sad thing. And the reason I'm saying is because in the NFL, even in wrestling, even in pro wrestling, which is not a real sport, right? Oh, I mean, I don't want to say it's
Right.
not a real sport, but
Yeah,
it's an acted out sport, right?
yeah, I got you.
These guys have gotten organizations and billions of dollars raised for CTE and things of that nature. When in boxing, how
We
can
got
boxers
nothing.
nothing? How is that possible,
And I
son?
mean, and when I say that, people are probably listening, going, "Oh yeah," I'm like, no, I mean it, 100%. Like, there's nothing. Once you retire, that's it. You're done. You don't get any kind of pension, nothing. And if some of these guys, most of these guys, they the difference between, say, an NFL player, right? An NFL player may have grown up in the projects. He may not have access to all this information, right? Knowledge, but he went to college. To get in the NFL, you pretty much 99% of the time you have to go to college.
Yeah.
He's learning, he's figuring it out and on the way. He's interacting with other kids, and they're telling
Mhm.
him, and the parents telling him, and but boxers, if they're from the street, they're from the street, period. They're not, we don't learn just because we're boxers. We don't have access to this education. So a lot of boxers, they think with the same mentality at 30 as a millionaire that they did when they were 15 as an amateur. You know what I mean? They don't think, I know guys, the last thing they're thinking of in the world is getting a CD, getting a mutual fund, getting a savings account, getting a money market account. They're thinking about buying a motorcycle and a gold chain and a Xbox and the nicest cars, and that's what they're thinking about. And until it's too late, too many of these guys. But I help those guys, but more often than not, I help guys who, like Wilfred and Gerald, like they just, they have, it's not through no fault of their own. They got injured trying to be what everybody wanted to watch.
So back to you brought up the college thing.
Yeah.
NFL players through I don't know if you've seen the Aaron Hernandez movie that just came out.
Yeah.
Junior Seau, people said that He died. He died. He killed himself because of the CTE, and he did it because he wanted to donate his brain to science, and it caused a ripple effect amongst their peers, where a lot of these guys are millionaires, where they I think ended up suing the NFL and getting some type of funding for these ex-athletes. There are a few millionaires in boxing. In fact, some that own major companies, whether it's Golden Boy, whether it's Mayweather Promotions, whether it's Top Rank. Why is it that none of these guys are trying to form something to take care of some of these guys that have made them millionaires? And I think that is where I'm confused. At least the NFL guy said, "Yeah, you know what? We're gonna fight for these guys. We're gonna force the union to put something away." There is no boxing union, right?
No, I have no idea. And you know what? I'll tell you a funny thing. As you were just saying that, as you were just making that last statement, something occurred to me. This occurred to me. And I'll bet you this is why Leonard Ellerby tries to go in on me sometimes, because I've said numerous times on podcasts and interviews, I've said, and I didn't say so maliciously, I was throwing the idea out there. I said, do you realize a guy like Floyd Mayweather and now like Jake Paul, guys like that could put $1 million in a trust, in an annuity or whatever it is, for guys like to help Wilfred Benitez, Gerald McClellan, Pritchard Colon, and other guys. You could give them a stipend. He could give. I said he could give Floyd May. I mean, he could give Gerald McClellan, Wilfred Benitez, and Pritchard Colon $1,000 a month, which to him would be a penny. It would be like me losing a penny every month. I wouldn't even know it was gone. I wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't need it. But to them, it would be like giving them $1 million. It would be like lottery for them. $1,000 could do wonders for each one of them. And I said many times, man, I wish a guy like Floyd would do something like that. I wish he would start some, he could take $1 million and let it grow, an annuity or whatever. And every month make payouts to these families of fighters who need it. That's all I said. I would have to assume, now that I think about it, that's probably where Leonard, instead of saying, hey, great idea, let me implement that. That's probably why he tries to insult me now. He doesn't want to go that direction. He thinks I don't understand the business, but I understand life. I understand people. I understand that these guys need help, and I don't care about the business. I don't care about Leonard. I don't care about Leonard at all. I care about the fact that Lisa McClellan struggles every day. I mean, imagine that fight was like 30 years ago, 1994 or 1995. 30 years we're talking, right? And she's been struggling to take care of her brother for 30 years going on. That's what I don't care about Floyd. And, as a man, I don't care what he wants to do with his money, but you can't put a little bit aside and direct it towards Gerald McClellan. I don't get it. And,
I feel
that's probably why Leonard is so stupid, towards me. That's probably why.
I mean, listen, it makes a lot of sense simply. And listen, even in Leonard's conversation, he said Leonard had good people behind him that allowed him to have money later on in his life. Most weren't. So I feel like you guys are kind of on the same page. And maybe he felt like he was singing about Floyd because there's other guys. I mean, you got Canelo, you have Gervonta,
right? But Floyd's
Oscar,
the one bragging about how much money he's got. Canelo doesn't talk about how much money he's got. Floyd takes pictures of himself, at a basketball game, taking, counting money ringside. I mean, come on, you want people to know how much money you have. You want to be Money Mayweather. So, and I like Floyd. I've met him a few times. Great, he's been nothing but cool with me. I don't even know if he knows who I am, but I've been around him. He's been very cool with me. Very cool. But if you want to be Money Mayweather, it can't just be about cars and gold and jewelry. Be Money Mayweather. Imagine Money Mayweather's giving all this money to these fighters in need. How amazing would that be? See, that's the thing. If I was a millionaire fighter, if I was like a Floyd Mayweather, I promise you, Gerald McClellan, Wilfred Benitez, and Pritchard Colon, they would be taken care of for the rest of their lives. Their houses would be paid off. They would have food money every single month. I would take care of these guys 100%, no questions asked. They would not have to worry about a thing. And I remember years ago, 10 years ago, maybe not even 10, but whatever it was. When 2016, it was 2016, the hurricane or the tornado, whatever the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico, if you remember that. Wilfred Benitez, his family called me. I talked to his sister. They needed a generator because the power was out, and I guess they had to keep some of his medication cold or something, and they needed the heat on or whatever it was. They needed like $10,000, right? And I guess he doesn't want me to name him, so I'll just tell you that I put a thing out on like Twitter, right? And I said, listen, my boxing people, I need you guys. Benitez is in trouble. We got to get this guy a generator. It's going to cost over like $10,000. I won't tell you who, because I don't think he wanted me to tell people, but a big name in the boxing business, not a fighter, not a trainer, but a guy in the boxing game, called me right away. He said, how much you need? How much do they need? He said, I said, man, I think it's like 10,400. I gave him the information to send the money to Wilfred's sister. 5 minutes later, Wilfred's sister calls me. She goes, hey, some guy, and she said his name. She didn't know who he was. She goes, some guy just sent the money. I said, oh, well, yeah, I talked to him. He's, go ahead, buy the thing, take care. And she took care of it. And he didn't want any credit. And matter of fact, I told a friend of mine, and my friend mentioned it to him next time he saw him. And he goes, yeah, he seemed kind of irritated that I brought it up to him. So I won't mention his name, but he's a high profile boxing guy. He paid for that thing in 5 minutes. I put the thing up at 1 o'clock. By 1:30, Wilfred had the money, $10,000. I'm just saying, Floyd could do stuff like that on a huge scale. He wouldn't even have to tell anybody about it, but he could do stuff. He could make these guys' lives so much easier. And that's all I said. And I'm not wrong in saying that. You want to be Money Mayweather? Be Money Mayweather. But it's not all about gold and trips and houses and mansions. It's got to do with more than that. And if Leonard has a problem with that, he can see me anytime. If he sees me, he can approach me and tell me he's got a problem with me thinking in that way.
I feel like you guys both are highly intelligent individuals, and I believe that your heart is in the right place. And I feel like sometimes people take things the wrong way, and the stubbornness blocks the blessings, right? And I wish both you and Leonard can really just sit down and just let's do this for the fighters, because Leonard is empowered to do this. He knows in the tweets he actually brings up that a lot of these fighters don't have a pot to piss in, so he definitely knows that these are the situations.
Well, give them one. Don't tweet about it. Give them a pot. Give them all a pot. You can afford it. Give them all a pot. And he doesn't need me to do it. I'm sure he has the resources. He knows who they are. He can contact them. Give them a whole bunch of pots to piss in.
Scully, you got a heart of gold, man. And I mean, I feel like if you were like the boxing commissioner, and if Turkey Al-Asuq is successful in bringing every company together, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if I had to pick a commissioner, it would be you, because I feel like you would have the best interest of the fighters. And listen, man, no, I'm just being real, man, because I feel like, one of my best friends, he plays in the NFL. He happened to make millions in the NFL. And I got to see him like literally put his body on the line, and I would go to the games and they would carry him off the field. And I would be like, damn, man, like, you don't even have to do this anymore. But he loved it so much that he did. But the difference is the NFL, he made money and they took care of him. They have insurance. They have all of these things. Boxers take headshots literally all the time. I mean, boxers must be coming out concussed every fight.
Yeah. You know what? In football, the goal is to score a touchdown. It's not to concuss anybody. In boxing, the goal is to concuss your opponent. That is the goal. That's point.
Crazy.
That's how you win the fight. The other guy gets a concussion and you win.
And that's a fact. And it's just so scary. And I've heard a lot of different stories where boxers are talking about how their own insurance is better than what's given to them as fighters. That's alarming. That is absolutely alarming.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Like when you think about it, it's pretty insane. That it's like this, and but it is, and again, a lot of these guys, you give a kid $1 million and you don't give them an education along with it on financial responsibility. What do you think's going to happen? I always tell a story. I'll give an example. I might have told you this before, but I'll give an example. I had a fighter. He got a fight for, knowing him, it's funny, but he got a fight for $35,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
I told him, I said, man, we got to get you a CD. We could put most of that money in a CD for your daughter. You'll have it 20 years from now. You'll have it. You just keep rolling it over. He didn't even know what I was talking about, but he agreed to it, right? But then when the fight came and he got his money, he didn't do it, right? I promise you. In 1 month, he bought the most pointless, useless stuff that a young guy would buy. He blew the money in a month. He was broke in 30 days. He had nothing to show for it, but I can tell you what it was, but people will know who I'm talking about on my end if I say what he bought. Yeah. But he bought things that a 12-year-old would buy, right? He was excited by it. But my point is, this is a grown man, a world-ranked contender, and he blew his money from that big fight in 1 month, and he's got nothing physical to show for it. None of the stuff he bought, he doesn't have it anymore.
And it's funny you say that because, and again, I hate to cross sports, but even in the NFL, they have a rookie symposium where they tell them, be aware of this, be aware of that, get you a financial advisor. Like, these are things, and boxing doesn't have any of this.
Let me tell you something, I promise you this is true, right?
Mm-hmm.
I put a thing on Facebook a couple years ago, and I have a lot of fighters who read my page, right? I put a thing about how much a manager is supposed to get, and then I made the difference between a manager who pays you a salary and a manager who doesn't, and just take care, and what he's supposed to take care of. And so many fighters, young fighters, they message me and they go, "What? He's supposed to only get how much? He's supposed to pay for what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, like, doesn't your manager pay for this?" And he goes, "No, I pay for that." And I'm like, "Listen, I don't know who your manager is, but he's not the one. They have, these guys turn pro, they don't even know what percentage the trainer and the manager are supposed to get, and they don't know who's supposed to pay for what. I know guys, pro fighters with a manager, and they're paying for their own equipment. They're buying their own equipment. I had a guy, one was going to manage me, and I'm saying, well, usually when I have a manager, I get paid. Like, I get paid a salary every week, right?
Yeah.
This man said to me, and the funny thing, he was in the financial field. That was his field of expertise. Mm-hmm. He said to me, "How about I give you like an advance on your purses, and then I'll pay you weekly, but then when the fight's over, you pay me back from the purse." And I'm saying to him, I'm like, "Are you insane? Are you stupid? Like, do you wish I was as stupid as you? Are you kidding me? Do you really think that's how we're supposed to do this? You think that's how it works?" And this was a manager who promoted a bunch of my fights. Like, he promoted well. I was happy with the promotions and everything, but that was his proposal to me. So I know that plenty of other fighters don't know any idea. Like, because like I say, when I gave those percentages out, I had guys messaging me going, "Man, I didn't know that. I didn't know that." I go, "You're a pro fighter with 6 fights. How do you not know that?" You know why? Because nobody told them, because they don't want them to know, because they want to hustle them and do whatever they want with them. So to your point, the NFL's got it right. They tell these guys what's going on. Believe me, most young boxers, you get a kid turning pro 20 years old, give him a 5-question quiz on how the boxing business works, he'll get 0 for 5. He'll have no idea what's going on.
Wow. Skull, man, I could talk all night with you, man, but I don't want. I got to save some of these jewels for other interviews. Listen, I'm going to call you next week. I need you back on. I love having you, man.
Yes, sir.
And I meant every word I said about you need to be the commissioner of boxing. Oscar, Floyd, Canelo, all these guys that are making hundreds of millions in boxing need to come together to take care of these fighters. Leonard Ellerbe.
They could make history. Oscar, Floyd, and Canelo. They could make history. They could change boxing if they want to easily. Like, it would be a joke. And I'm telling you, it would be a joke how easily they could do this. Easily.
On that note, my brother, I'm going to let you go. Appreciate you, Skull.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
My guy.